Alrighty, let's talk about the only trade I was looking for today, and what happened in today's session, July 15th, Wednesday, with that setup. So, coming into today, I mentioned in the Discord pre-market call today that the only setup I was personally interested in was 75.70. It was watching for the failed breakdown here, 75.70. This was a low we had set at noon yesterday. So a nice little low we had set, obviously ran up quite a bit, so it turned into a nice significant low. And that was really the only setup I was interested in. When I woke up and when we saw price in the morning, price was kind of hanging out up here at the top of range. And we had a couple potential options. There was one where you could have taken a little bit of a failed breakdown of the 75.94 shelf. We'd kind of had a 3-touch bounce here. But that wasn't something I personally was interested in. It was pretty close to the range resistance, as well as it at the time, had gone about 20 points or so, 20, 25 points, but, it's just still too close to the highs, and too close to this, mode 2 resistance that we've kind of been in. So, for me, first things down, like I mentioned, was 75.70. And so, when that happens, the only thing I do on days like this where, you can tell price is quite slow, right? As we've talked about, we are in this summer trading regime. It's to just set alerts for the price you're interested in. And if price never gets there, then you don't really need to be staring at action that doesn't correspond to your edge. And so for me, my edge is trading failed breakdowns and failed breakdowns only. And so if I'm not getting a failed breakdown to my liking, it just means I'm not trading. I'm not doing anything. And so, I don't need to be mindlessly watching the screen with action that isn't anything I'm personally interested in. So I set my alert for 75.70. As you can tell, that alert still has not gone off. It's still active. And we'll get into why that never happened. So we did eventually get a little bit of a sell here, a small little injection of volatility just after 11:30 a.m. Into midday, where we actually started to fade slightly down, and we actually hit 75.73. And so at this point, I noticed that price was coming into 75.70, and like I said, I had my alert set. If we would have trapped 75.70, put in a failed breakdown, I was, ready to open up my platform and trade it. Well, we clearly never ended up sweeping it. What this was instead was it was a classic support bounce. So instead of sweeping support, we just put in a nice support bounce right here at 75.70, 73 spot, and we got some momentum and took off for the rest of the day. And that was really the only bounce we put in after that small injection of volatility. Now, if you are a trader, or if one of your edges as well is to buy support bounces, well, there was a good opportunity for that as well. We can zoom in here to a 15-minute chart, and just after 12:30 p.m., you can see we hit the low at 75.71, started bouncing off of it, and by 12:45 or so, got some nice momentum through it. And if you are looking to potentially just play a nice support bid and buy it, that would have been an opportunity once you started to see momentum come through. Now, me personally, like I said, that isn't my strength or my edge. My strength and my edge comes from playing and looking for failed breakdowns. And so, really the theme and key is to be extremely disciplined about the setups you want to engage in and your edge, and don't deviate from that. And so for me, my edge is, like I said, it's playing the failed breakdowns. I had a pre-planned that I would play the 75.70 failed breakdown. We never got it. I never took a trade. Now, was there an opportunity available? For sure, right? There's an opportunity available here to potentially play a different type of setup, a different type of trade, and that is playing the bounce here at 75.70, 73. And I know some of you guys in the Discord, did take that and like that setup and like the momentum. And, there's nothing wrong with that either. If that is a strength of yours, you can go ahead and do so. But the theme really is, stay with your edge, stay with your playbook. and be strong and disciplined with your setups. Don't take setups that aren't pre-planned, that don't correspond to your edge. And that's how in the long run you will be profitable over time. So that is kind of how today played out, and we'll see what we get into the latter half of the end of this week.